If everyone would take their seat, please, and we'd like to welcome you to our Mayor's Forum this evening. As you know, the Mayor's Race Election Day is April the 22nd. Vote early and vote often. The folks on this side of the graveyard have just as much right to vote as the folks on the other side of the graveyard. We have our three mayoral candidates with us tonight, and would ask that feel free to applaud as we introduce, but as we go through the forum itself, if you would please refrain from any form of demonstration. We have, by agreement, we're working in alphabetical order, so the first person to be introduced is Mr. Bill Moore, followed by the incumbent, Mayor Fred Simbeck, and Jesse Turner. And by coin toss, Mr. Fred Simbeck will have 3 minutes to make an opening statement, followed by Mr. Turner and Mr. Moore. Mr. Simbeck.
You want to get the questions?
We'll get to that here in just a bit. This is your opportunity to say hello to the folks, and whatever you'd like to say, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Well, I'd like to say hello and welcome everybody here. Appreciate you coming out. And I'm not going to ask for a vote or anything tonight. I think the first questions on the agenda is, what are our goals and incentives for bringing industry's business into Loretto?
Okay, Fred, if you don't mind, hold up just 1 second. I would like to give the other two candidates an opportunity to make an opening statement, and then we'll come back, okay? So, Jesse, if you'd care to make an opening statement. Mr. Turner.
I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I'm Jesse Turner, and I'm running for mayor of Loretto. I've lived here in southern Lawrence County my entire life. My wife, Angela, and I, we love this town, and we plan to stay here and raise our boys, Eli and Knox, in this town. As I was considering running for mayor, I was encouraged by numerous people. So many people are not satisfied with the direction that our great city is headed, and neither am I. We are missing out on so many things that can make this a better place to live. I work for the Northwest Alabama Council of Local Governments, and working there, I work with 32 cities and towns in 5 counties, some bigger and some smaller, and I help them do what I plan to help this town do. I'm involved with community and economic development issues, especially those pertaining to transportation. I've been actively involved in many projects, which include the revitalization of downtown areas with sidewalks and landscaping, new sidewalks within neighborhoods, the resurfacing and rehabilitation and widening of streets, and the construction of industrial access roads for new industries that have moved into the area. This has given me a great understanding of how to develop and secure successful community and economic development projects. Every day I work with local, state, and federal officials that face many of the same challenges that we face here in Loretto. This has given me a unique insight into solutions that work and ideas that don't. Therefore, I will be a mayor who can bring my experience and my knowledge to work for this city. Thank you.
Mr. Moore, you have 3 minutes.
Evening, folks. Bill Moore is my name. I want to thank Kyle and the group that put together this program tonight. I think this is really important for our city. I believe Mr. Turner and I both agree that if we thought the city was perfect, then why change? You know, I think there's some things that need changing. When I decided to move back to Loretto some 6 years ago after being away work, because again, there was no work here in Loretto. When I moved back here, I decided to help take care of my mom. I decided to open a small business myself. It's been successful. It's been successful because I'm a worker, and I'm a communicator, and I have energy, and I have personality. When you come into my business, you know that. This city has lacked that for a long time. What I'm going to be trying to portray to you folks tonight is that I'm going to talk real life stuff. There's going to be no fairy tale garbage. We're going to do real life stuff, what the city, I believe it needs, and how we can move forward. And we can do this together, not separate, been enough of this division in every community. And we'll talk about stuff like that. But anyway, thank you for coming, and I look forward to sharing my views with you.
Okay, thank you. By prior agreement, Mr. Fred Simbeck will take our first question. Mayor Simbeck, what are your goals and incentives for bringing industries and businesses to Loretto?
My idea is we need to continue to work with the state of Tennessee, ECD, Joint Economic Board, Chamber of Commerce, and South Lawrence Economic Board, which was just formed this year, to attract industries and to ensure we can provide state and local tax incentives. We have to promote not only Loretto, but the advantages we have of being near larger cities such as Shoals, Huntsville, Nashville, and the integrational airports of Huntsville, Nashville, and also most Shoals have one. We need to keep the utility rates and taxes at levels that are attractive to recruit new industries and businesses. Thank you.
Mr. Turner, you have 2 minutes.
My first goal is to communicate with potential industries and businesses that we are open for business in Loretto. I will not wait for a potential prospect to come to me. Rather, I will actively seek them out. Loretto has not prepared itself for bringing industries and businesses to town. The industrial park is practically built out, and we have no land that is readily available. We need to identify industrial and commercial land. We must identify what skills our available workforce has. We must identify what kind of industries are suitable for Loretto, and what types of businesses would thrive in Loretto. We must ask ourselves, who are our targets? Developing relationships is also something that must be done. We have the South Lawrence Economic Development Association now. We also must be active with our chamber, because they are our local economic development agency. As well, we must stay in contact with the South Central Tennessee Development District. Along with the chamber, we must be in constant contact with the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development. We've got to partner with our Board of Education to be sure that we have a new high school built in this end of the county. Our schools need to know that the city supports them. My goal is to build relationships that will bring business and industry to Loretto.
Mr. Moore, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Well, it's quite obvious everybody's going to have basically the same comments about industry. It all starts in our education system. We got a school over here that needs a lot of help. It needs leadership through the city. Again, as I said a while ago, to be able to make things work, you got to have incentive, and you got to have a personality in a city. It sounds good if we say we're going to contact so and so and so. Well, I happen to be a real good friend to Jerry Merriman, who is in the state, that handles this kind of stuff. For the last 40 years, my life has been in communications, radio, newspaper. And now, of course, you know what I'm doing now, or most of you do. But anyway, we've got to go to these people. We can't just say, hey, we're open for business down in Loretto. Y'all come see us. We got to go see them. And we got to have the knowledge. We got to have the infrastructure. We got to have the school. We got to have the workforce. We have very little workforce in the city right now. Let's not fool ourselves. We are not going to get General Motors to move down here, but maybe we can get one of their little side companies that want to produce something to be able to keep some of the kids from moving off. Mr. Turner has to work in Alabama. There's no work for him up here. So let's change that kind of stuff. We want the industry. First of all, let's start where that, and that's the root of education, and letting them know that we're open for business. And that made sense. Thank you.
Mr. Moore, if you would please stay at the podium. You'll have the first crack at our second question. And the question is, what do you believe Loretto needs to do in order to provide prospective industry the availability of a suitable workforce?
Unfortunately, in the past, there's been decisions made by the city government to sell certain properties that could have been used for a small industry to come in here. I think that's where leadership lacked. Again, we need to stop selling off or renting out all of our farmland or something for farmers, and we ought to be concentrating on buildings that are available, such as Junior Perry's buildings. Anybody talked to him about possibility of maybe a small plant coming out there? I did. Ken Abercrombie, they got a building available. We're not going to get a 300 plant factory. Even our people that we have here now in Loretto that provide us their jobs, if it wasn't for Southern Craft or Jeff Duplantis and that bunch, and the real small people that put together, I'd hate to see what this town would be like. Okay, again, we got incentives that we can offer them, but first of all, I got to find out what they are. I hadn't been invited to City Hall to find out, what our budgets are and our open accounts. But when I'm elected mayor, I promise you, these people will know. You can come to Loretto and you'll be treated right. Okay. Those first 3 or 4 questions that were faced here tonight, basically the same thing. Gets back to education, stuff that this city needs. We need cleaner streets. We'll get to that here in a minute. We need better stuff all the way around. But as far as getting the industry here, you gotta go court them. Gotta see folks. They ain't gonna come see you.
Mr. Simbeck, would you like me to repeat the question, sir? What do you believe Loretto needs to do in order to provide prospective industry the availability of a suitable workforce?
Well, my idea is we got to work with our education department. We've got to need to work with them, local school system, community colleges, and technical schools to ensure we are providing industries with workforce that meets their needs. Every student is not going to go to a 4-year college. We need to see that they can, who wants to do not. It is very important for these students for further their education by attending technical schools, community colleges, other training to provide industries with employees they need. And I think we're in the process of doing this. We've got some good welding classes and other technical schools in our area. And we're supporting all that. And to get workforce out here that we need, we've got to educate them. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Turner, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, sir. Okay. We must first be supportive of Loretto High School. Once again, we need a new school so that we can expand our technical offerings. Skilled labor is in high demand. Our kids can get a jump start in high school if we'll only provide the investment. Also, by identifying target industries, as I mentioned earlier, we will know what sorts of skills that we need to train our workforce for. We need to work with our technical schools to help train new workers and also retrain older workers who may have lost their jobs or those who may be looking for a new career. I think the key will be identifying our target industries and the skills needed for those industries.
Okay. And if you would remain at the podium, our next question is, what investments do you believe Loretto needs to make in order to provide sufficient resources for future industry?
As I previously mentioned, the current industrial park is almost built out. We must first locate and secure land for future industry. At the same time, we must be sure that we have excess capacity and maintain that capacity for our water, sewer, and our gas. Telecommunications is also an important part of all businesses today. I will work with Loretto Telecom to be sure that they are providing us with the latest technologies that are available to us. We're also fortunate to have a 4-lane highway. We need to continue a relationship with TDOT to be sure that the 64 bypass is complete so that we can keep our transportation options open. And our local streets must also stay in a good state of repair.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, would you like me to repeat the question?
It's just like 1 and 2, but I'll comment on it again. Again, it gets back to education. It gets back to working together as a city. The That's all it is in a nutshell. I mean, I can sit up here and, you know, say the same old thing again, but let's face about it. To get industry, we got to prepare for industry. You know, we don't need to be like it was when Pearl Harbor hit us. We wasn't ready for that. So we had to react to that. You know, everything that seems like the city of Loretto has to do is after the fact of something. Let's prepare with them. If an industry wants to come and look at our town, then let's have our streets clean. Sure, 43 looks great. Rest of the town looks like crap. Excuse me. Looks a little rough. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm a country boy. That's the kind of stuff we got to work on first. Nobody's going to come into this town the way it's looking without a workforce, the way our school is right now. It's not going to happen. So we're going to have to take things one at a time. And when I become your mayor, that's what we're going to do. We'll sit down with each individual that work for the city, each department, and we will make this a better place to live.
Mr. Simbeck.
My idea is that our citizens are one of our greatest investments. Having proper resources to educate, train our citizens to meet the ever-changing needs of industries is a top priority. We need to continue to maintain and upgrade the Loretto roads, water, sewage, and telecommunications. We have to provide attractive locations with available service to meet industry requirements. At this time, our industrial park is almost full. We have 11 acres left in it, and it is pretty good property to build on and grow on. Thank you.
Okay. And if you would, sir, please remain at the podium. You get the next question. Yeah, you're turning the barrel again. Okay, the first three questions we're talking about things we can do to bring industry to Loretto. The fourth question talks a little bit more about existing business. What can be done to help existing businesses in Loretto prosper to ensure that they stay in business and remain in our city?
We need to encourage our citizens to patronize our local merchants more. Events sponsored by the Lions, Lioness, and Loretto Lift Up, ball teams, and other groups generate publicity and more traffic in town, which helps our businesses to prosper. The more we promote our city, the more it helps local businesses, and in return, it helps all residents of Loretto. Supporting local business increases our sales tax base so the city is able to provide services, and it also helps our children, as 1/2 of the city's 2.75% sales tax goes to schools. Promoting our city more will help local business.
Mr. Turner.
We must first create and maintain relationships with our existing businesses. The city needs to stay local with our purchases when possible. There should also be an ongoing open dialogue between the city and businesses about their needs and how the city can help. Our businesses, they need to know that we appreciate them and want to help them however we can. You know, for example, maybe a business needs a loan but is having trouble getting all of their funding. The South Central Tennessee Development District has a revolving loan fund that can assist businesses in a situation such as this. Those are the kinds of things that we need to inform our businesses about. Communication between the city and our businesses is key. Also, Loretto is fortunate to have all the baseball leagues, the softball league. You know, we need to be sure that those leagues stay in the city. You know, we got folks coming to town, and after the ball games, they're eating at our local restaurants. They're getting gas. They're not going to Walmart to buy their groceries. They're going to Superama to buy their groceries. That helps out our local businesses. Also, if we can bring new industries and businesses to town, this will help our existing businesses because these will bring jobs, which will bring people. Also, I've seen where the active shop local campaigns, those can be successful. We've also got to create an atmosphere that makes people want to come to this town. I'll talk some more about that later.
Mr. Moore.
Just this week, I've talked to probably a half a dozen small business owners in Loretto. You know why small businesses are struggling in Loretto? Because Loretto people don't do business with them. Simple. You know, we have to depend on small business. If they're coming out of Alabama, headed to the Amish company, they'll stop. Or they live over in Bonnertown or Lexington or come down from Leon. Loretto folks need to join hands and say, hey, we appreciate you being in business down here. And it's never going to get no bit better until that happens. That's it. This is real simple. Do business. Why they say shop at home? You know, we got somebody moving into town. I have never in my life seen a community, and this is going to start when I become mayor. When somebody, when they go sign up with the gas department or something, we're going to have something like a small welcome wagon to greet these people. We're going to put together a little packages and say, hey, here's a little coupon from here and there. Welcome to Loretto. We want your business. You know, here's the mayor's phone number. Here's so-and-so. If you need, you know, our police officers need to greet people. We need to go to these businesses and say, what can we do for you? One business told me in the last 25, 50 years, whatever in Loretto, one cop one day went to one business. What can we do to make it better for you? One time. That's going to change when I'm mayor. Shop, folks. Hometown. You don't have to go to Florence. You don't have to go to Lawrenceburg all the time. Shop Loretto first. Try that. Let's see what happens.
Okay, Mr. Moore, you get the next question. And shifting gears here just a little bit, how do you feel Loretto can get a handle on the ever-increasing drug problems in our schools and our community?
I think we need better leaderships in our schools. I was told just this week by a parent when his son was in South Lawrence School, in 2 grades, kids tried to sell him drugs at South Lawrence. 5th and 6th grade. Nope. Why is that? I've been told by parents this week, you know, the kids are coming to Loretto High School and sitting out and they're smoking dope before they go inside. You know, and they're doing things in the bathrooms. There's not monitored or whatever. This is what the parents are coming and telling me. Okay? You know how we do that? Our police department is not visible. Now, the Highway Patrol has been lately. Many of you folks already know that. They down here working us. Okay? We want our police department to be more visible. You know, instead of when school is coming in, they need to be in the school zones working. When school's out, they need to be working that. We need to show these kids just how important it is that we're here for them. It's never going to get no, you know, I don't do drugs. I'm a beer drinker, you know. Hey, but I know, I guarantee you, I take you to half a dozen places in town where you can buy dope in this town. There's too many thugs in this town. I have no use for thugs. And then I'm told, well, there ain't nothing we do about it. We're going to do something about it when I'm mayor.
Mayor Simbeck.
One of our toughest problems is drugs, and it's not much as meth, marijuana, and stuff as that, as it is prescription drugs. And hopefully, in the future, we've got a bill, I hope it's going to pass, that's going to restrict doctors and stuff from prescribing so many prescription pills. And that, in return, the parents is going to have to take a bigger hand at home, keeping this out of their children's reach. So that, as far as that goes, I mean, I don't know how all this other stuff comes out. I know our police is visible in the mornings and afternoon at school. Because I was a policeman for over 12 years, and I was visibly every day that I worked. And I know our officers are now. We've got 3 full-time officers that's worked for the city. We've got 5 part-times. And most of the part-time works on weekends, and very few works during the week. To curtail the problem is through education regarding long-term effects of continued usage of drugs, such as diminishing health and lifestyle. More money is spent on drugs and less availability to maintain family life, and it may even cause death. Another way is for citizens volunteering information regarding drug trafficking. This information can be investigated with possible prosecution following. Thank you.
Mr. Turner.
From a city's perspective, our law enforcement officers, they need to be patrolling the streets and be out and be seen in our neighborhoods and around town. You know, we just got to let it be known that drugs are not welcome here, and I'd want the officers to continue to get training on the latest trends within the drug trade, and also how to identify problems within it. Our school kids need to know that the officers are there for them. You know, if the parents need to be going to the law enforcement officers and speaking to them if their kids are being offered drugs, and not to me or somebody else. The county has a great DARE program, and that needs to continue as well. But most of all, we need a police presence out and about in our town.
Okay. And the next question, sir. What are your ideas for making Loretto a more attractive and better place to live?
Every day I go to work, and I work with the towns in northwest Alabama to make their communities a better place to live. We've been successful in doing this with CDBG grants, community development block grants, transportation enhancement grants, transportation alternative program grants, Appalachian Regional Commission. I could go on and on and on. But during my time living here, I've only seen Loretto take advantage of one of these grants, and that was a Safe Routes to School grant that connected the two schools together. That sidewalk has been used. I personally use it. Me and my family do, and it has been great for this community. It is my plan to pursue more projects just as this. Livability is a big factor these days when industries come to town and they want to locate. We must make Loretto more livable. We must construct more sidewalks, do streetscape projects, and enhance our recreational opportunities and complexes that are here. We have a great baseball complex, but this park has seemed to suffer over the last few years because all the attention's been there. That's something I hear over and over as I'm talking to everyone. As mayor, I would treat city property as I would treat my own, and I'd be sure that the city takes proper care of it and that it is maintained. We are seeing more activity in our downtown area. Dub's got the music on Thursday night, and we have the pizzeria place coming in, which is great. You know, this would be a great area to start to make improvements to be attractive not only to us but also to those who are visiting from out of town.
Mr. Moore.
There's one well, Mr. Bill.
We're on number 7.
Let's live, work, and raise?
No.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry. We're on number 6. What are your ideas for making Loretto a more attractive and better place to live?
Okay. Again, it gets at with knowledge and being able to how to reach out to things like the Appalachian Regional Commission, which has never been touched in the city of Loretto. That's grant money. And by the way, we have a person already hired in Loretto to do grants. That is his job. Okay? We've had somebody, you know, we're not up here running for, grant office. We're up here, this is the city mayor of Loretto we're trying to seek. Okay, we have people in those jobs. We need to get them to work. That's what I think. Okay, when you get a person that came in here within 2 weeks ago to this city, and they came down here to evaluate Loretto. They said Highway 43 was a typical small town in this area. When they went off the main street, they gave our city an F. We have trees growing in the middle of the sidewalk. I recently went down to Rogersville, Alabama. Have you been down there lately and seen their little town, what they did? And I asked them, what happened? One guy told me, he said, we stopped being jealous of each other, and we all got together, and we helped old Fred over there do his. We helped Jesse do his building. Next thing you know, the town looks great, and they're thriving down there. That's what we got to do. We got to become a town of people who care for each other and love for each other, and let's get to work. Okay. Until that happens, we're going to always get D's and F's. Okay. There's a lot this town needs. We got codes. They're already on the books. Let's enforce our codes. If it says you can't have a junk car in your front yard, you send them a letter. If they don't do it, we haul it off, and then we send them a bill for it. If they don't do it, then we'll see them in court. If we're not going to work our codes, take them off the books.
Mr. Simbeck.
Well, I've got an idea, and I hope I can put it to use if I'm elected again, is to like to ask the city residents and businesses to have cleanup days, which we need to work on sidewalk projects, which we've been trying to get it for years, and for our people to use. We need to work with a lift-up committee, South Lawrence Economic Board, and businesses in the county to obtain grants for improvements in the downtown area. We're also in the process in the near future, with the help of the Lions Club in the city, is going together and building a new pavilion up here in the city park to help that along. And also, early this spring, I hope, supposed to start sometime between April and May, get our sirens installed this spring, which will be a great benefit and for safety of our citizens in Loretto, which we're having 3 storm sirens put in, one in the south end, one in the middle here at the park, and one at the north end of town, which will cover approximately 5 miles in every direction. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Simbeck, the next question is yours. Mayor?
Getting my exercise.
Boy, he really wants to get off of that podium, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Question number 7. How, sir, will you encourage people to become more involved to make Loretto a better place to live, work, raise a family, and retire?
Well, I think we need to do a better job of informing the citizens regarding ongoing activities and decisions made by the city officials. I wish more people would attend our city meetings. We meet once a month, and that's on the first Tuesday of every month. And it usually the mayor, aldermans, city manager, and the recorder. And here lately, we're getting 2 or 3 citizens come. I'd like to see the whole room full. We need to get ideas from the citizens, not from us. And that would help us to do all this. And when the city will have to begin using the method of communication, which would, I don't like the internet, Facebook and all that, but it looks like that's what kind of communication people wants now. And I think the city, we're going to have to start using that more often so people will know what's going on. Thank you.
Mr. Turner.
Well, this is certainly an issue that every city faces, but everybody says that Loretto has not been progressive. And if you're not moving forward, that means that you're falling behind, and no one wants to be part of a losing team. First of all, people need to see that the city, first of all, cares about this town and maintains its properties. I will see that we are continually improving and upgrading the services that we offer to our citizens, such as fire and police protection, our streets, our public buildings, our parks, and so on. And then as we start getting community enhancement activities going on, the grants that I mentioned, people will take notice. And at that time, when good things start happening, people won't want to be part of a winning team, of a team that has things going on. And so as these things, as the city improves itself, growth will happen. I've seen it many times. Mr. Moore mentioned Rogersville. That's one we've been involved in. Also, I've been involved in Tuscumbia, Sheffield, Hamilton. As these cities have improved their downtown, you see businesses move downtown and people start coming downtown. Thank you.
Mr. Moore.
Once again, get everybody involved. You know, there's several things that we do in Loretto, such as Memorial Day. It's a great event. I'm a veteran. I'm proud of that. we have the 4th of July at Sacred Heart. It's a wonderful thing. The Pettis boys put on a great program at Labor Day. We have Oktoberfest. When I'm mayor, we're going to have a Christmas parade again. We're going to have music in the park. We're going to sing on the square. We're going to do stuff like that. We're going to give people a reason to come to Loretto. We're going to give them a reason to stay here after we work real hard to get those small industries. Again, we're not going to get General Motors, but we're going to try to get us 6 or 8 small factories down here so these people will have something to do when they get off to work, okay? Because we don't have the workforce. And I'd hate to see the current plants right now, how they don't want to get rid of some of their guys that they've worked real hard and trained and invested their time into. That's why it's important. Again, we get an education system, and we're going to talk about that. But, the kids don't have a swimming pool. I was told it's possibly a grant's already been approved. When I went through the Facebook and everything last year and the people that I contacted in my business, the parents were upset. Why do we got to go to Lexington? Why do we have to go to Lawrenceburg? There's nothing for the kids to do in this town. You're right. That's probably why they're selling drugs over at school.
Okay, Mr. Moore, the next question will be yours. Over the next 4 years, what upgrades do you believe are most important for the police and fire department to provide the best quality service to the citizens of Loretto?
I learned when I was in the 2nd grade about our fire department here. I spent the night with one of my little buddies. Back then, kids spent the night with each other. Before we went to bed that night, I heard my buddy's dad say, they must have been having a big fire down in Loretto. Well, that fire was our house. I got to school the next morning. What I had on my back was what I owned. Loretto Fire Department was there. I've lived in Giles County, worked over there in communications radio for 20 years. The Loretto Fire Department has a great name. I love our fire department. Somebody to volunteer themselves to get out there to work and things these guys do. But when I become mayor, I'm going to make sure that we have all the hazmat materials that we need for these guys. I'm going to make sure that when they, I believe the term, Stephen, is drop equipment. When you guys go to a fire, you're going to be prepared. If we need a new truck, it's not going to be the standard policy response that you get from the city of Loretto. No, we can't get that. We'll find money. We'll get us some money somewhere if that's what it takes. Because, I live in this city too. And after I work 10 or 12 hours a day, when I go home and go to bed, I want to know in my heart and my mind too that if something happens in my house and I need the fire department, that they're going to come with the best they got. And that's what we're going to do for our fire department. As far as our police department goes, we need to get to work. We're not visible enough. I think there's some training issues. That's one of the concerns that people is coming to me about. And these people, this is not personal. I know these boys at Ball, I have a son that's a state trooper in Alabama. My brother retired Highway Patrol. My father-in-law was a retired Highway Patrol and ran the city of Lawrenceburg for several years. I know how important it is for a police department. And there's more to it, folks, than just, I want to implement programs where you will see them. And again, where Steve and them's job is Highway Patrols won't be so easy down here, okay? We got laws. We will enforce them.
Mr. Simbeck.
I'll get right into the police department. I'm not going to run them down because I know how hard it is out here. We provide 24-hour protection with one person on patrolling. We've got 1,700 citizens in Loretto. And how many times have you heard of a house being broke into, somebody shot? Our officers are visible out there. I can't help it what everybody says. They're visible and they're seen at night. You don't see people breaking into houses. Only houses that I know have been broke into is ones that put it on Facebook. We're leaving town for a vacation for a week and we won't be at home. You don't do that. As far as the police department, we need to upgrade our cars. We started 2 years ago with replacing a car every year. We've got cars right now with 120,000 miles on them, and we got due to replace one this coming year. In July, we'll be ordering one. And cameras, we got one that was broke somehow. We need 2 inside car cameras. They cost $5,000 apiece. Our chief is filling out a grant to get one, so we got to come up with $5,000 to provide another one. And also, it's personal little cameras that fits on your clothes. They're just small. They can run about $200. And when you get out of the car and you walk off somewhere to investigate or investigate something, you push a button, it records photographs and everything, what's being said. And if somebody shoots you blind, you've got it on film. So we got to get a couple more of those. And also, talking about the fire department, I have nothing but great praise for them. Since I've come in the office, they have got grants working with, just through the fire department. They have acquired about $500,000 in grants to upgrade their equipment and all that. And as far as responding, we have one of the fastest responding volunteer to fire departments in the state of Tennessee. I know when I was working, when the house down here on Danny Cross is burnt, I was coming down 43 when the call come out, and I headed down there, and the fire truck got there at the same time I did, and the house was fully engulfed, and all. That's when and all that. But
Mayor, if you could go ahead and wrap it up, please.
all right. Go ahead.
Okay, if you got that one. Mr. Turner.
Well, first of all, I will sit down with Chief Killen and Chief Loveman, as I will with all department heads, to see what they believe that their most pressing needs are. I will ensure that both departments have the equipment that they need to keep themselves safe, which in turn will keep us safe. Now, I also say that that both departments have access to the training that they need. As far as law enforcement, we just need to be sure that they are out patrolling in the neighborhoods and getting to know the citizens of Loretto. Our citizens should feel comfortable if they ever do need to call and at ease. I'd also like to see a program maybe where our officers would go by our businesses at night and check on the business and they could leave a note or something just to say that I was here. I checked your business. It was good. It was safe. Our fire department, they recently lowered the ISO score for the city, and which in turn has helped each of us out that live in the city with lower insurance rates. We need to be sure that our fire department has the trucks and equipment that they need to keep this low ISO score, and we need to work with them to acquire the equipment that can give us an even lower score and a better department in the future. Also, we need to ensure that we have adequate water flow all over the city so they can effectively do their jobs if there is a fire. And also, I know they have a mutual aid agreement with St. Joe. We need to be sure that we keep that in place as well.
Okay, Mr. Turner, the next question will be yours. No one is opposed to anyone having clean, safe water, but with Loretto's water lines expanded into rural areas, how can you assure the citizens of Loretto that they'll have an adequate water supply if we continue to experience hot, dry summers?
This is a question that's been asked to me by several as I've been out talking. First we got to look at our plant's output capacity and see how much of that capacity is being used. I did check today, and according to the figures given to us, our springs can produce up to 1.2 million gallons a day, while our plant can filter up to 860,000 gallons per day, and the average daily demand is 470,000 gallons per day. So as of right now, I think that we're good on the output of the water. If we did have a short-term problem with water, we are connected with all the other systems that surround us. So as long as we have sufficient capacity, I do not see the need to spend our dollars exploring for other sources of water.
Mr. Moore.
city of Loretto is not going to run out of water. I promise that. Because I found out that, yeah, we got 2 big springs, works great. We are tied in all the way from Shoal Creek, Leoma. If we need to, we get water out of Florence, Alabama. If we need to buy water to keep us going, we'll have to buy water. But, folks, I don't know what the Lord's got plans on how much it rains, but right now the city of Loretto tells me we're not going to run out of water. And to hit on something the rest of my time, you know, we're talking about a police car's got 120,000 miles on it. I wished I had a car that only had 120-something thousand miles on it, you know. That's when they start getting broke in. They're building cars now to get 200,000 or 300,000, you know. If we're going to buy new cars, let's put them out on a patrol instead of sitting at the police station all day. Get out there and work it like that, okay? Thank you.
Mayor Simbeck.
I can't add too much to what Mr. Turner said. We do have adequate water supply. We're hooked in with Lawrenceburg, Leoma, St. Joe, and even can hook in with Lexington, Alabama. So we can help each other out and all that. We produce enough water. We had a pretty dry summer a couple summers ago. We didn't even come out. I mean, we helped Lexington, we helped St. Joe, and we also furnish water for West Point. They buy it from us. So I have no problem with the water around here in Loretto. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Simbeck, last question will be for yours. If Loretto were to expand its city limits both east and west, what would be the advantages of doing so?
I've studied this over going east and west, and right now there's no advantages for the city, as our tax rate is so low. The city would start out in a low category. We'd lose money. Of course, I know there's people out there, and it takes everybody to sign a petition if they want to be annexed. There's no forced annexing anymore. It's been on freeze for a year, and also now there's a bill and going up before the House to stop all forced annexations. It all has to come out in petitions and be granted. And if we go out, our sales tax is 0.19. That's 19 cents on 100. We get state shared taxes, sales tax, beer tax, gasoline tax, and TV lien tax. This amounts to approximately $110 per person per year, which is, unless there's a business in that area, we can't collect business tax for 10 years if it's already there. A new business comes in, we can start collecting then. And then only after 10 years, after all that, we get all the sales tax from a business then. But I mean, it takes 10 years to start growing anything. Thank you.
Mr. Turner.
First of all, annexation would need to be advantageous to the city to consider it. Annexing land for economic and community development purposes would be a reason to consider annexing. I did a little research, and the American Farmland Trust performed a cost of community services report for Robertson County in 2006. This is around the White House area. It's about the closest thing I could find to this area. The ratios show that show the cost required per dollar of revenue generated in fiscal year of 2005. So for each dollar of revenue received from residential properties, the county spent $1.13 providing services. So it's essentially they were losing 13 cents providing services for the residents. But for each dollar from commercial and industrial land uses, the county spent 22 cents. So they were gaining 78 cents. And for a dollar received from farmlands, the county spent 26 cents on the services. So while these are not the numbers for this city, it gives a good idea of the cost or gains to the city. Also, Loretto received approximately $110 per person in state share taxes this year. So annexing vacant property for commercial and industrial expansion, and also densely populated residential areas would be the only areas that would be in the city's best interest to annex. Also, Tennessee law requires that a plan of services establishing at least the services that would be delivered should an area be annexed, and the projected timing of the services would have to be prepared if annexation did occur. And so by preparing this plan, you can see the advantages and disadvantages of annexing. But unless it's to annex land, such as for industrial property, which we know that we need in the city, I will not place a burden on Loretta's current taxpayers to annex property into the city.
Mr. Moore.
Well, to summarize what he just said, it's going to cost too much money. Okay? I'd love to have people that live out the golf course, in the subdivision before that, people that lives behind Lawson's. I'd love for us to be able to protect them with our police department and our fire protection. But when you start spending $500,000 to bring in $25,000, that takes a long time to pay that back. And right now, by the way, Fred was right. There is a freeze in the state of Tennessee, and you can't make somebody come into city limits if they don't want to. They changed all that. They used to years ago, but you can't do that no more. So it looks like what we are, where Loretto dropped the ball was years ago when they figuring out where the city limits was. So-and-so had enough clout in this town. He had a big farm. Well, I don't want to pay them taxes. So, his buddy, whoever the alderman or the mayor or somebody was, skipped his farm and made a little jig over here and went down there a half mile, turned around. That was the problem. That's where it all started. But now we're to the point where we got what we got, and we need to take care of what we got for now until things change.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the questions that we have. By prior agreement, each candidate will now have 3 minutes to make a closing statement. And by a flip of the coin, Mr. Moore, you will go first. You have 3 minutes, sir. Anything you'd like to say? You have 3 minutes.
Well, I came in here tonight, with hope to show you what Bill Moore is all about and what I believe in. I'm a big cut-up kind of guy. Everybody knows that. But I'm serious about a lot of stuff, too. I tell everybody my two main goals now as I get older is trying to get to heaven and trying to make a living. Okay? Loretto's important to me. If I thought everything was perfect, I wouldn't have ran for mayor. I wouldn't. Okay? Here's what, and I will not make no promises, but I will make this promise. When I become your mayor, I will bring what the Lord blessed me with, and that is communication skills, and I believe it's quite obvious tonight that I probably lead in that area. I will bring my personality. I will bring my energy to this city because this city has given me a lot. Now I want to give back. And we cannot go after those industries with someone that does not have those skills about themselves personally. We got to have somebody in that office that have made friends in the past, that have those connections. We talk about the drugs in our city. I've talked to TBI Special Agent Vance Jack within the last month. He promised me when I became mayor, we'll get rid of some thugs down here. He said no one's ever contacted TBI about that. I said, I know. Okay? I promise you I will give you my max effort for the city of Loretto. This city needs more, not less. Thank you.
Mayor Simbeck, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Well, I've worked for the city for the past 16 years, or a little more. First as a police officer, and now for 4 years as mayor. And I will continue to work for the citizens of Loretto, everyone, not just a few, and all that, and try to give them the best protection and the best that our taxes and revenue will do. We'll keep the rates as low as possible to keep our city functioning. If we have to go up, we will, but as I see it now, there's no increase as anything coming in the next couple of years. Thank you.
Mr. Turner, you have the final word. Sir, you have 3 minutes.
You know, as I go around and talk to people, I keep getting asked, why do you want to do this? I also hear that the mayor has no power. He's just one vote. But, you know, Loretto deserves better than this. The Loretto City Charter and Code both state that the mayor is the CEO of the city. As mayor, I will serve as the CEO of the city, which is more than just a vote. The mayor is the head of the city. He sets the agenda for the city. He sets the direction for the city. The mayor needs to have a vision for the city. You know, I feel that the city right now, it lacks a vision, but I have a vision for Loretto's future. You know, I might not have Mr. Moore's personality, but I've got experience, I've got education, I got knowledge, and I can use that to fulfill this vision for the city. This is a great place to live. I want my kids to be able to stay here, to live here, and to work here. But for that to happen, we must get to work. We can no longer sit around and wait for these things that we have discussed just to happen. I'm asking you to put me to work so that we can get started. I have the knowledge, the experience, the passion, and the desire to make Loretto all that it can be. Tonight, I humbly ask for your support and your vote on April 22nd. Thank you.
Gentlemen, if I could get all three of you to stand. And I'd like to mention to the folks here that for all intents and purposes, the mayor and alderman positions here in the city of Loretto, for all intents and purposes, are volunteer positions. Yes, they do get paid, but the mayor gets paid $125 per month. The aldermen are paid $75 per month. That's barely enough to cover gas money to get out and see the constituents. And I'd like to commend all three of you for your performance here this evening. I think we've heard a lot of good things, and I would invite the audience to show their appreciation at this time with their applause.